Today on the CTV News at 5, why some Lethbridge business owners are thrilled, but also concerned over the demolition of a downtown eyesore. Plus, ground is officially broken on the city's new skateboard park. And a name for the littlest royal.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Some downtown business owners are bracing for a big slowdown heading into the fall. The city will be closing a portion of 7th Street South during demolition of the derelict atrium building. As Jeanette Roche explains, that's going to impact several businesses on the street.
It's been a long time coming. The demolition of this abandoned structure just sitting here doing nothing for over 3 decades.
It would be nice if it were gone and the street could be totally a business street.
Now neighboring business owners like Rita MacArthur will get that wish, but it could come at a price.
I wonder what's going to do to my business, but if they close off the streets, that'll affect my business for sure. I hope they do it at nighttime actually, but maybe not.
Dave Clark and his son JD own Doug's Sports. They say the demolition will happen during their busiest time of the year, and that could disrupt more than 50% of their revenue.
And that would probably eliminate a lot of our business because lack of traffic, foot traffic coming in, customer traffic. And so it really scares me because that's our best year. That's how we stay alive.
Teresa Forster runs Kumon Learning Center, which sits directly next to the atrium and almost in the path of the Ground Zero demolition site.
Our students, they work so hard, they concentrate, they're working independently, and concentration is so important for them. So to have any noise, it's really distracting for them. So if it gets too bad, I think I might have to either shut the center for a while or relocate even.
Demolition of the atrium is slated to take place the beginning of August and last through mid-September. So far, there's no official word on how much space work crews will take up and how much the job site could spill over into the street.
I suspect that the demolition, it's not going to be like taking a wrecking ball to it and knocking it down and closing off streets for an extended period of times. They're going to have to dismantle it piece by piece. So how they're going to move it out and whether they need the street or the back alley or part of both of them, I don't know yet.
Even though many of the merchants in the area have concerns about business being impeded upon and the noise levels, most of them say they're glad it's going. Jeanette Roche, CTV News, Lethbridge.
It's expected to cost the city close to $400,000 for the demolition of the atrium. City officials say they will be in discussions with the demolition contractor, Envirocon, to make sure that any disruption to downtown businesses will be as minimal as possible. It was a big day for local skateboarders and the Lethbridge Skateboard Association. A groundbreaking ceremony was held this morning for the new SLP skate park, which will be built next to the Henderson Ice Arena. This is one of 3 new facilities planned for the future. Funding for the $600,000 park has come from fundraising, community donations, and government grants, as well as a naming sponsorship with SLP Industries. Among those taking part in today's ceremony, 2 skateboarders who did some of their own fundraising for the project.
We just raised money at lunch selling suckers basically, and then all the change we would have, we would donate to Boardland for the Lethbridge Skate Park Association.
We're local skaters, and we'd be going around town skating at businesses, and they didn't really like that much, so we decided to donate money here so it could get built fast.
But there's probably around 1,500 skateboarders within the community. Besides that, we got the BMX bikers who use the park also, and also the scooters. And so really we're looking at down the road building 2 more skate parks similar to this one, other than one will be double the size.
Well, this gives me a little bit of street cred once again. I'm cool with my kids. With SLP having naming rights, it has gone a long way with my kids. I think it's pretty cool.
Construction of the new skate park should be completed by late fall. And some good news for kids in Coaldale, too. The Coaldale Kinsmen have hit their goal of $175,000 for the construction of the Kinship Park Playground. It's going to be built in Cottonwood Estates in Coaldale. Construction is scheduled to begin July 31st, and volunteers are needed. The Lethbridge Police Association says it is confident that an officer charged with assaulting a teen will be cleared once all of the facts come out in court. Constable Norman Smith is facing charges of assault, causing bodily harm, and unlawful confinement in connection with an incident that happened while Smith was on duty in December. A 16-year-old filed a complaint 2 months later, claiming he had 2 teeth chipped while being placed in the back of a police car. A struggle occurred while the teen was being arrested for public intoxication. The charges were laid following an internal investigation against Smith. The Police Association says it's providing Smith with support and legal counsel. President Tom Kramer says there is a process to follow, but he's confident the officer acted reasonably given the totality of the circumstances.
It's a very difficult situation for not only the charged officer, but the entire membership and the entire organization. We want to maintain the public confidence and public trust, and we want to contribute to our community. And even though that charge has been laid, we want to continue to contribute to the community. That's what police officers do. And not being able to do that is quite a hardship on police officers when they get suspended.
Constable Smith has been relieved from duty with pay pending the outcome of the court case and an internal disciplinary process that will follow. He is scheduled to make his first court appearance on September the 9th. A Lethbridge woman who burned down a historic apartment building has been sentenced to jail time, 2 years less a day. The Van Harlem building on 7th Street South was destroyed by fire in February. 25 people were living there at the time. One man suffered a broken leg while jumping from a window to escape the blaze. 25-year-old Sheila Mae Crow Eagle pleaded guilty to arson, and today she was sentenced to 2 years less a day behind bars. Back in March, 40-year-old Crystal Mills admitted that she intentionally set the fire. After an argument with a resident, she has been handed a 3-year sentence for arson plus 3 months on a previous mischief charge. Another day, another severe thunderstorm watch or warning, Dory. I cannot remember actually the last time that there wasn't an alert in place. Why are we seeing so much severe weather?
Well, Jackie, one could answer it's summer, and that's one of the symptoms of summer weather. But really, what happened on July 17th when we had that severe storm, it was something that we were tracking on radar. It was a system that moved up from the Oregon coast. It was a rotating low. It had a definite trajectory to it. What happened on Monday night of this week was not a system per se. It was one of the phenomena is that when we have the Rocky Mountains in the position where they are, it's an ideal funnel from northerly air from the north to mix with warm air from the south that's moist, moving up from systems from the United States. And then they meet in the higher elevations of the mountains, and then these thunder cells form. They push off the mountains, slide down into the foothills, and move across the plains. That's what happened Monday night. So it's a combination in a lot of instances of high humidity, having a flow of cooler air aloft from the north, and just this instability that is created. And unfortunately, for the last while, we've been having this instability in southern Alberta, and we've got another system tonight that, well, it's not a system. Again, it's developing cumulonimbus clouds right along the Continental Divide, and that's what we have in the forecast for tonight, very similar to what we had last night. Some of these thunder cells, they develop, and then they don't really create any havoc. They create some sheet lightning and some thunder, but they don't have any wind component to them. So we've had a variety of these situations, and really it's just due to Mother Nature's quirks at this time of the year.
Okay, thank you, Dory. Well, the province will be holding a flood information session in Lethbridge tonight. Provincial experts in the areas of flood mapping and the disaster recovery program will be available to answer questions about the government's new flood rebuilding policies. Under the policy, people living in floodways will have the choice to relocate or rebuild using funding from the disaster recovery program. Residents who rebuild inside floodways won't be covered in the event of any future floods. Those in fringe areas will only get compensation if they rebuild with specific flood-proofing measures. The information session runs from 7 until 9 tonight at the Coast Hotel. And thousands in High River are still displaced by the flooding, but today they're getting a new place to call home. A temporary community has been set up just north of High River, and it can house up to 1,200. The development includes family housing units with bedrooms, living rooms, kitchenettes, and bathrooms. Other units have been built for single adults, but not all will have cooking facilities or private bathrooms. 3 restaurants and eating areas are being built into the community, along with a bar and a fitness center.
I think you'll all agree being able to be without a home or a place to lay your bed is probably the hardest thing that any one of us can certainly deal with. And I know this isn't their original home, but it's certainly a step up from where they are.
The province is still sorting out who exactly gets how much compensation. We'll have more on that story coming up on our news at 5:30. Well, Prince William and his wife Kate left hospital with their new royal bundle of joy yesterday, and it only took a day for him to get a name. Michael Kaznowski now with more on George Alexander Louis.
Well, it took a week to name Prince William, a month to name Prince Charles. Here we are only a day and a half after his birth, and the little prince has a name. His Royal Highness George Alexander Louis of Cambridge. If he chose to keep that name when he becomes king, likely decades from now, he would be King George VII. Alexander may come from Alexandra, which is one of the Queen's names. Louis is one of Prince William's names.
Traditionally, monarchs or heirs of the future tend to have quite traditional names and often a nod to their predecessors.
Now, people here in Bucklebury, Kate's hometown, where she spent the last few weeks of her pregnancy, are thrilled to hear this news and to know that this afternoon, William, Kate, and baby George arrived at the Middleton family home here. Their home, of course, at Kensington Palace is still being renovated, won't be finished for another few months. So the Middleton family home in Bucklebury is expected to afford the young royal family lots of space, peace and quiet, and privacy to spare.
Now, Prince George BC is in full celebration mode after the naming of the littlest royal. The mayor says they're already planning to invite the family to the city when it hosts the Canada Winter Games in 2015. A couple of mystery men are causing quite a stir in Calgary and Edmonton with spontaneous acts of generosity.
Vegan tomato panini.
This morning around 11 a.m., a man at a Calgary Tim Hortons came in and paid for the next 500 medium cups of coffee. This is actually the second time it's happened in our province this week alone. On Monday, a man walked into a Tim Hortons in Edmonton and bought 500 large coffees with his debit card. Both men remain anonymous at this point. Coming up next, a look at the weather when we come back. First, though, today's markets.